Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to
Greetings,
Card Trick. Yes,
audience.
people, things,
Loyal
stuff.
friends.
And to episode 5 of
Yeah,
Card
five.
of Card Tricks and Cantrips, in which it's just two people, because our third person had a power outage because of this crazy storm that appears to already be gone because it's nice and sunny here.
Right? That terrible storm that lasted for 20 minutes. Yet somehow managed to completely,
Destroy
affect
Nick's
this.
power.
You're right? I know. So, unfortunately, you're just stuck with us today.
Oh no, how terrible. And
Right?
another setback from last week is that Jon doesn't have a camera again.
Yes, I know. It's really a shame. But
But we get to look at your
despite
strong selfie game again, so that's good.
exactly. So, but despite all this adversity, you're soldiering on because that is what we do.
Yes.
Nothing else. We soldier on.
So, let's see here. Magic this week. Feels like not much has happened other than a lot of modern
Yeah,
decks
not
made
really.
things really expensive.
Right? Yeah. Well, Yup. Which is good. If anybody wants any foil Azuris,
Oh my god, it's insane. Like,
give me a call. Because, wow.
uh-huh.
Holy crap.
Terminate's a ton of
Yeah.
money now, too.
Wait, really? How much is it?
Terminate's like $5 now, and the foils from Alara are like 12, and foils from Planeshift are 20.
You're kidding.
Nope.
No.
I should stop
Oh,
messing with this pen.
such a Lara foil. So many. Many terminate.
Yep.
If anyone wants terminates either, let me know. Foil or non-foil. Oh my god. Yeah, like
So,
hit me up.
by the
Cause
way,
wow.
if anyone watching sees our cameras do really weird and stupid things, it's because Skype does really weird and stupid things when it's just two people in a call.
So I
Really weird and
apologize.
stupid. That'll probably only affect my video. I think that yours stays still, Jon. But
Yeah.
mine moves if I mouse over to Skype.
But yeah, does anybody else have any magic news that we missed?
Um,
That thinks is relevant. I can't think of any. It's been kind of
let's
a
see.
slow week.
It has.
We're getting Magic Origin spoilers.
Yeah, which I mean, we'll wind up having an entire episode dedicated to Origins, but there's been
Right.
some cool stuff. Not a ton that's interesting for Commander. I guess that 3-drop blue enchantment is interesting Commander, and then the green one where you draw cards is
Mm-hmm.
kind of interesting.
Both of those I need, but yes.
But yeah, so not much
Yeah.
this week. All right,
Yeah.
so during the since last week, Jon and I'd imagine Nick as well, but obviously he's not here to talk about it. Put together lists for Rakdos, Lord of Riots, and I haven't seen Jon's yet, and he hasn't seen mine. We
So
both
this will be
expressed
interesting.
some frustration in building around this commander to each other, but
Oh my
apart
god.
from that, we
Oh.
know nothing about each other's lists.
Just gonna. We're just gonna make a section, and we're gonna call it. John's gonna rant.
Yeah.
We're gonna call it. Gonna call it. Call it. John has a point to make.
So, depending on how long Jon's rant winds up being, this will probably be a shorter podcast since we had
So
expected to talk about 3 decks instead of 2. So, yeah. Hey, John, do you have your list done yet? Like, is it on tapped out? Because I still need you to link it to me. Oh, fantastic. I would appear to have lost John.
Hello?
Hi, you're back.
That was weird. It was super weird. Okay.
So, the cameras are all going to be
Internet.
screwed up until Jameson and Nick disappear from this call. I apologize. Alright, there we go. Well, now we can kind of see John. And, oh, my camera got turned off. There we go. Alright, so, where was I? Depending on the length of... Oh yeah,
Yes.
Your list. Did you finish it yet?
Almost. I will send it to you the moment it's done. I promise.
Okay. Alright, then
I
guess...
have my list, everyone. I just have not... I literally was cutting cards until, like, the moment this started.
Yeah.
Based around again, because I just... anger and frustration and rage. So I will have a list untapped out for you momentarily of my, list.
Then...
So if Nick wants to start, or I can rant. It doesn't matter.
You mean Nick? You mean Alex?
Right, same person, right? Whatever. You guys you're interchangeable, really.
Hey,
like
John,
you're
Skyping with your phone, right?
Yeah.
Now?
Yes, why?
Can you look at, like,
What's wrong?
tapped out? Well, I mean, obviously, I guess you're working on it right now. I was just thinking I should probably send you my list so you could look at it while we talk about it. But you need to finish your list anyways, so.
Yeah. I mean, yes. You can send me yours and I can look at it.
Okay. I just need to take it off private for... Not the best podcast as far as preparation, I suppose.
Yes, it isn't. I apologize. Yes. But however, I think it was both because both of us were working on these decks until, like,
just before we started.
Because we both had a revelation at the same time that this guy is actually really frustrating.
Yep. Like, we both had lists that we were content with, and then we tested them, and we were like, oh, these are terrible.
This is not gonna work. And nope.
But yep. So I sent it to you on Facebook, John.
I got it.
I guess I'll start talking about my list here. So Rakdos, Lord of Riots. He's a 6/6 flying trampler for double black and double red. And creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. Seems pretty amazing, right? Well, you can't cast him unless an opponent lost life this turn. So it's pretty amazing when he's in play. So I'm running 38 creatures. I wound up running 36 lands, slightly less than I normally do, but that's because a lot of my guys are going to be pretty cheap thanks to Rakdos anyways. And I've got some 6 instants, 4 artifacts, 8 sorceries, 5 enchantments, and 2 planeswalkers.
Oh man, you are like, okay.
What?
I know, no, nothing. You have lands. Never mind. My lands are much less.
Oh.
I have less land. I have less lands than that. I had to make some.
I thought about cutting more, but.
Oh man, I had to make some hard cuts. So
I wound up cutting just some beady creatures first before I only cut like 2 lands. Well, 1 land really. But.
I initially had 36 as my what it was going to be, and then I ended up cutting down. Yeah. But you'll see in a moment.
Yeah. Which I don't know. The less than 36 might be the correct choice, but.
Maybe. Yeah, go on.
So my first creature here is Abhorrent Overlord. It's a 6/6 flying demon that at the beginning of upkeep I have to sacrifice a creature. It costs 5 and double black, but in this deck, I mean, that really means double black, right? So, but when he enters the battlefield, I put X11 black harpy creature tokens with flying into the battlefield, rises my devotion to black. Which I do have a slight token sub theme going on in this deck.
I am so lame. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
No, okay, so I was putting in Solemn Simulacrum into tapped out, and I typed in Sad Robot, and then my next thought was, why the hell isn't this popping up? And then I realized.
Do you put them in one at a time? When you put...
Is there another way to do it?
Well, there should just be a giant text box that you can just type names into, and then once you type all them in, you click save, and it'll tell you if there's anything wrong, and then you fix whatever's wrong, and then you hit save, and it should be there.
Okay. That's it. That'll save a whole bunch of time then. Yeah, go on then. Do your thing.
Okay. So I've got a slate token sub theme.
Yeah, I noticed.
Goblin Bombardment and where'd it go? Oh, well, we'll go over it when I find the cards that I'm referring to. I've got Artisan of Kozilek, costs 9 colorless mana, so he can wind up being really cheap. And when I cast him, I may return target creature card from my graveyard to the battlefield. He's a 10/9 with Annihilator 2. It's a very powerful body with a pretty good end of the battlefield effect. I've got Avatar of Woe, 6 colors and 2 black. If there are 10 or more creature cards and up to total in all graveyards, Avatar of Woe costs 6 less to cast, which in Commander is super easy to make happen. She's a 6/5 with Fear, and I can tap her to destroy target creature and it can't be regenerated. Basically, she's my best form of removal in the deck, in that she just kills any problems. I've got a number of extort guys. One, because they can make my stuff force my opponents to lose life, so that way I'll be able to cast Rakdos, or they'll make basically paying 1 to extort. Let's say it's a 4-player commander game. Paying 1 to extort basically becomes Dark Ritual on every spell. So it's really good with Rakdos. It's an amazing mechanic with Rakdos, and I love it. Blightsteel Colossus, you know, the I swing and hit you once and kill you guy. That can in this deck be free to cast. We've got Blood Artist, that kind of goes somewhat with the token idea, and also it's a good way to make people lose some life, make stuff cheaper, gain some life. Bringer of the Black Dawn. Now, this card, I saw this, and I thought, oh, this needs to be in here. Oh, crap, wait a minute. It just occurred to me. This isn't legal in this deck, is it?
What isn't?
Bringer of the Black Dawn? Because it says you may pay white, blue, black, red, green.
It's not, Alex.
It's not. Okay, so we're going to replace Bringer of the Black Dawn with,
literally anything else.
Yeah, but I'm gonna bring up a card that I had cut. Demon of Death's Gate. Basically, he was just he's a 9/9 flying trampler that I may pay 6 life and sacrifice 3 black creatures rather than pay his mana cost. And so that kind of works with the token sub-theme, but also Rakdos makes it so he can wind up being a flying trampling 9/9 for 3 mana. And then I also had Bringer of the Red Dawn, but he's not legal either. So it'll just be...
You're just learning all kinds of stuff today.
Yeah, I just screwed up. I blame their goddamn coloring system in that block of making all sorts of ability and stuff. Like, in the text box, mana symbols all just, like, colorless. Like, my brain just didn't think that, like, oh, hey, these aren't in this deck. He'll be a thing. We'll he's another dude. We'll make him another dude. I've got Cryptgast again, extort, and it makes me ramp for a bunch of mana. Which the CMC on this deck is super high. What's my average? My average converted mana cost is 5.16, but I've got a lot of stuff that's like 7 or greater. Darksteel Colossus, 11 mana, 11/11 indestructible trampler that he can't really die. Dread Cacodemon. This costs 7 and triple black for an 8/8, but again, that could basically just be triple black. So when he enters the battlefield, if I cast it from my hand, destroy all creatures my opponents control, then tap all other creatures I control. So I could do the second main phase if I really wanted to attack with stuff, or I could wait. But like it's basically a one-sided board wipe, and he's really frickin' big. Dread Drone. This is another part of the token sub-theme. It's a 4 colorless into black 4/1 that when he enters the battlefield, I put 2 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature tokens onto the battlefield, and they have sacrifice this creature, add 1 to your mana pool. So that kind of works with Blood Artist to be able to make people lose life, and I also get mana out of the process. It's just, I mean, at 5 mana it's a little rough, but at 1 mana this card's amazing. Emrakul's Hatcher is almost the same thing. He costs 4 and a red instead of 4 and a black, of course. He's a 3/3 instead of a 4/1, and I get 3 tokens instead of 2. Erebos, God of the Dead. My deck is super duper aggressive. I just want to play a bunch of big guys and then kill you with them before you can get the opportunity to do anything about it. So I don't want people gaining life. He can draw me, like, paying 2 mana and 2 life to draw a card is amazing when I can basically get to a point where I can cast almost anything in my deck for pretty much free. And also he can eventually be a 5/7 indestructible creature, so that's pretty solid. Grave Titan. More tokens. Grave Titan for 2 mana is
really good.
Yep, really, really good. Dray Merchant of Asphodel. Basically, this deck is much more black than it is red. If you look over at the pie chart here, the outer is the actual mana costs on my cards. The inner is the land base. The reason I skew so heavily on red and land base is because I need to make sure I have the double red for Rakdos. But yeah, so Grey Merchant for 2 mana is also awesome. Hypnox. Now, I didn't even know this card existed. This card's amazing. I mean, it's pretty terrible in, like, most other scenarios, because, like, when are you going to actually cast him? But he's an 8/8 flyer for 8 and triple black. When he enters the battlefield, if I cast it from my hand, remove all cards and exile all cards in target opponent's hand from the game. And when he leaves play, return the removed cards to their owner's hand. So I can basically say to the control player or whatever, hey, unless you counter this, you're not going to have a hand at all. And he's an 8/8 with evasion, so he's solid. Infectious Horror is another thing that's basically just it's a janky card that's just in the deck to help me make sure I can cast Rakdos, and it also makes a lot of other cards cheaper. So it's each opponent loses 2 life, so basically, again, operating under the assumption of 4-player game, if Infectious Horror attacks, that makes all my other creatures cost 6 colorless less. So that's, really good. It betrays. You'll notice there's a lot of Eldrazi in here. Because they're all colorless, and I don't care that they cost a bunch of mana.
Because Alex is being that guy, guys.
Yep. Oh, this deck is not nice. It's mean. In fact, it's probably a bad variant to play, because it'll just get you hated off the table, and you might die super quick.
Spoiler
But
alert, mine's not better.
but when I saw Rakdos, I just thought there's not a way to build this deck and be nice about it. You have to be a complete asshole. So it that betrays, steals stuff when opponents sacrifice things, and it has Annihilator, so that works well. And it's an 11/11. Kakusho the Evening Star, 5/5 flyer for 6. But when he dies, each opponent loses 5 life, and I gain life equal to the life lost this way. So he can wind up being 2 mana, 5/5 flyer. That's good. But he gets me closer to my ultimate goal of killing all of my opponents very quickly if he dies. And then by doing so, he also makes it much harder for them to kill me, which is a big concern with the deck, seeing as I will likely get hated off the table. Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, more Eldrazi. And card draw is super good in this deck. Maggot Carrier is another thing to enable Rakdos to come into play. Just when he enters the battlefield, each player loses 1 life, and it's 1 mana, so basically it's, it's kind of like in that 4-player game we're referring to. It's like a Dark Ritual with a 1/1 attached, and I pay a life. Mardu Shadow Spear. Whenever he attacks, each opponent loses 1 life. And the thing I really like about this guy is that he has dash. So let's say I've got 6 mana, and I haven't cast Rakdos yet, which would suck, but it's possible. So I can dash him in, attack, cast Rakdos, and then he can come back, assuming he didn't die. Like maybe there's someone without any blockers or something. And then I still have my Rakdos enabler in case they kill Rakdos. And also he makes stuff cheaper, because it's each opponent. This card was one I was a little iffy on. Netherborn Phalanx. When he enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life for each creature he or she controls. So, I mean, it's really good against some decks. But it's 6 mana, 2/4. If I can manage to get it for, just the black, then it's awesome. But, and then also it transmutes. And the things that it transmutes for are Grave Titan, Kakusho the Evening Star, Pontiff of Blight, Wormcoil Engine, Wound Reflection, and Soren Markov.
Hey.
Yep. Yeah, that was a fun list of cards. At 9 mana, I've got Nullstone Gargoyle. It's a 4/5 flyer for 9, which is rough. But whenever the first 9 creature spell each turn is cast, counter that spell. So I am running pretty heavily on creatures, and that can just hose some decks. So that is definitely a card that I want to be playing. Pathracer of Ulamog, just a big beater Eldrazi. Platinum Angel. Again, like I hate it off the table. Having a card that says I can't lose is pretty good. Same with Platinum Empyrean. Although it does it in a different way. And actually, Platinum Empyrean, one issue though is if I have this out, I can't actually use Erebus's ability because it won't let me pay the life. But, Pontiff of Blight, what I mentioned earlier with Extort being good because it turns Extort into like Dark Rituals. This just gives everything Extort, so that's good. Pulse Tracker, just another Rakdos enabler. Runescarred Demon. If I can pay 2 mana for a Demonic Tutor and get a 6/6 flyer, I'm going to be a very, 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 very happy person. Sponsai Rulamog, more Eldrazi. And he, I can pump excess mana into him to create Eldrazi spawns for token purposes. Spite Flame Witch is a kind of awkward card. It's a 2/1 for 1 and a hybrid black or red. I can pay a black and a red to make each player lose 1 life. So it can be ramp in a way, but also it enables Rakdos. Stormbreath Dragon. The protection from white is relevant, as is the flying and the haste, of course. But the monstrous ability can do a lot to make things cheap, and he's a good beater thanks to his protection from white. Syndicate Enforcer, just another extort guy. Same with Thrill Parasite. Although his ability to tap him and pay 2 life and remove a counter from target non-land permanent can actually be relevant against some decks. I can keep Planeswalkers in check. I can remove divinity counters whenever I want to. So I could force them to use them if they need to. I can remove charge counters. I can remove all sorts of things. Ulamog, Eldrazi, Wormcoil Engine. Yeah, he makes me happy.
He's free.
He is free. 6 mana, Death Touch, Lifelink 6/6 that basically creates himself when he dies for free. My lands, like I said, I have 36 lands. I've got some basic dual land stuff: Akum Refuge, Blackleaf Cliffs, Blood Crypt, Bloodfell Caves, Bloodstained Mire for fetching, Dragon Skull Summit, Graven Cairns. I do love filter lands. Rakdos Carnarium, the bounce land. Sulphurous Springs. Okay, so that's all my dual lands. Then my special utility stuff, we've got Cabal Coffers, because there's a lot of black in here, and I of course do have Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth to go with that. And I also have Reliquary Tower, because I don't want to discard things. And I have Shizo Death Storehouse. It's a legendary land. I can tap to add a black, and I can pay a black and tap to give target legendary creature fear until end of turn. So that can be really good in helping Rakdos get through. Because, if I hit someone 4 times with Rakdos, they're dead. Thanks to commander damage. So, yay. My instance, Breath of Malfeor, costs 5 mana, and it deals 5 damage to each opponent. So it pays for itself and then some. And it also helps kill them. Dark Ritual, just sometimes I'm not managing to get the life loss that I need to get Rakdos out or whatever, and it's nice to be able to ramp into one of my big dudes with Dark Rit. Dash Hopes, I'm really happy I have an opportunity to play this card. It costs double black, it's an instant. When you cast Dash Hopes, any player may pay 5 life. If a player does, counter Dash Hopes, and what Dash Hopes does is counter target spell. So let's say I want to counter something, and they're like, oh no, that needs to resolve, I'll pay 5 life. Well then, they just made all my shit 5 mana cheaper. So
if Rakdos is in play.
If Rakdos is in play, of course. Yep. Otherwise, I mean, it's still, no one expects the black counter spell. And
right.
Like I already mentioned, this deck is really aggressive, and so just forcing them to pay the 5 life isn't too bad. Like if that's the worst case scenario, then okay. I've got Lightning Bolt. It removes problems. It hurts people. It makes things cheaper. It enables Rakdos. Rakdos Charm.
Right.
Exile all cards from target player's graveyard or destroy target artifact, or each creature deals 1 damage to its controller. I'm not going to be choosing that last option very often, thanks to my token sub-theme, but there's some decks that it could really host, and there might be some situations where I would choose it despite having tokens myself. And then destroying artifacts is useful, and sometimes there's decks that really want to keep their graveyard and interact with it, and then exiling it instant speed is good. Wild Ricochet, Jon could tell you all about how much he
Yes.
loves Wild Ricochet.
I don't
basically,
have it in my list. I should
basically,
though.
it's in here to kind of help protect Rakdos mostly, because if people kill Rakdos, they kind of shut down my deck. So being able to go, okay, so you're trying to kill Rakdos, instead you'll kill something else, and I'll get to kill another thing. So, that stuff is good. And then also in line with protecting Rakdos, I have Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots and Whisper Silk Cloak. And I've also got Whip of Erebos to kind of help keep me alive, and let's say they do remove a threat, then I can whip that threat back and have it still be a threat. Just tons of big, big, big threats. If the deck wants to play like a weird and janky Tron deck, in a way. Sorceries, I've got Blood Tithe, costs 3 and a black. Each opponent loses 3 life. I gain life equal to the life lost this way. I've got Bump in the Night. It's another thing to enable Rakdos, and it can make things cheaper. And it's got Flashback, so I can get multiple uses out of it. Exsanguinate. It seems really good. It's a way to keep myself alive. It can just end the game if it goes late enough. It can get multiple amounts of the mana I paid into it. I can get back to make things cheaper. So that's good. Oh god, we lost Jon again. What the hell?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yes. Gosh. Okay. All right. I have a deck.
You
Have
have a
done that.
deck. Okay. Alright.
Yes.
Send it to me on Facebook.
I'm doing that right now.
Alright. So yeah, Exsanguinate. Mana Clash. There's a card that, I think has the potential to be absolutely amazing in this deck. It costs just a red. It's a sorcery. You and target opponent each flip a coin. Mana Clash deals 1 damage to each player whose coin comes up tails. Repeat this process until both players' coins come up heads on the same flip. So what this can wind up doing is if I have Rakdos out, like if I get really lucky, then I can wind up paying a red and basically getting an Ulamog for free.
Right. Which is, I mean, always good.
Profane Command, just another mana dump, and also I would likely wind up using it mostly to the thing that I'll probably use the most with this card is the up to X target creatures gain fear until end of turn. Giving lots of my big dudes evasion to just go and kill someone when they weren't expecting me to be able to kill them is really good. Red Sun Zenith,
Yeah.
Another mana dump spell, and it also I can use it to enable Rakdos, like just pay one in red, and then it'll shuffle back in. And then also, let's say I've got Rakdos out, and I pay, I don't know, we'll just say 6. So I make X6. So I pay 7 mana, I do 6 damage to target creature or player, and then if I do it to a player, then my creatures cost 6 less, which depending on the creatures I'm casting, could basically mean I paid just a red for 6 damage. Sizzle costs 2 in a red, sorcery, all these sorcery stuff. Deals 3 damage to each opponent. It's just a card. Tyrant's
Right.
Choice. Here's this card was in Conspiracy. It's
Uh-huh.
one in a black. It's got Will of the Council, so there's voting. Starting with you, each player votes for death or torture. If death gets more votes, each opponent sacrifices a creature. If torture gets more votes, or the vote is tied, each opponent loses 4 life. Now, of course, most of the time, the mode that I'm going to want to be voted for is the 4 life.
Right.
But
Sometimes, yeah,
sacrificing,
utility's nice.
yeah, sacrificing's not terrible since I've got that token sub theme going, so I can just sack a token and get some
Right.
value. Now, Baneful Omen is a great card. It's an enchantment that costs 4 and triple black. At the beginning of your end step, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you do, each opponent loses life equal to that card's converted mana cost. So none of my creatures have flash or anything fancy like that, so it'll never actually make my guys cheaper with that life loss. But as I mentioned, my curve
It's
is
consistent damage.
really high. So most of the time, unless I'm hitting a land with it, I'm gonna do some decent damage.
Right. It's consistent to
And it's
semi-consistent damage.
Yep, and it's each opponent. So if I reveal It That Betrays or Lifesteal Colossus, each opponent's losing 12 life.
Right.
Goblin Bombardment works with the token sub theme. It activates Rakdos without having to pay any extra mana on that turn necessarily. It's just solid. And it also can make me sacrifice tokens. But it can basically turn all of my tokens into Eldrazi spawns. And they deal damage from sacrificing in addition to getting mana. Palace Siege. You choose either Khans or Dragons when enters. It costs 3 and double black. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand, or I can choose to, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 2 life and I gain 2 life. Obviously, that's the mode I'm going to choose. Subversion, another enchantment that basically accomplishes the same thing. Wound Reflection, kill people faster. Up next to the list of the Black Oath. Again, lots of life loss. It can make dudes. And that emblem is pretty solid with this deck with the amount of huge creatures I have. Then Sword Markov, again.
Yep.
Every turn I can make loss of life happen. And I could set someone's life total to 10, kill them, which in the process might make them lose a ton of life, in which case, then I'll just be able to cast everything. Or I can, of course, Mindslaver someone, which in Commander isn't usually the option you want to go with this card, but when you get into the later game, you can start doing crazy stuff with that. So
Indeed.
yeah, that's my deck. I maybe talked about it a little bit longer than I should have. But then, yeah, are you ready to talk about yours, John?
I am.
Okay. Here's John's deck, and I am now looking at it for the first time.
Okay, so I guess I'll let you take a look at it.
No, you can just start talking.
All right.
I'll be able to follow.
So I mean, I don't know. Let me start with this. First off, as a commander, Rakdos is cool, I guess. But the issue that I have is, one, he's an aggro commander, but he's also a ramp commander. Now, I love my Animar. Everybody knows that. And I love ramp commanders. But this is a ramp commander that wants you to play stuff basically in your main phase 2 after you've dealt damage, which seems counterproductive to me. It was frustrating also because you want to play huge creatures because he's a ramp commander, he makes stuff cheaper, but you have to dedicate so many cards to just getting him into play that it makes building a list frustrating. Because you're like, yeah, that's cool, we can do all this stuff, and then you get there and you're like, oh man, I have like 2 ways to consistently deal damage every turn. So you got to change everything. But I think I found a pretty cool spot. So let's just start then. So the first card I have is Anger, because hasty things is always good. Gotta love your haste. Artisan of Kozilek, because Eldrazi. My deck is a bit more aggro than Alex's is. Like, Alex has a lot more like spells and does stuff. He has a lot more enablers for Rakdos, to be honest, that are like just like direct damage to get them into play. I'm a lot more like punchy with it. Ashen Morliege, because Ashen Morliege is fun. Plus, if they want to kill it, they have to hurt themselves, and that makes Rakdos and that makes my stuff cheaper. Ashling the Extinguisher, I got. Ashling the Pilgrim, two of my favorite cards. Balefire Dragon, Blightsteel Colossus, I got. Corrosive Mentor. This is the first card that sort of fits into the like Wither sub theme that I went with, kind of, because I figure everything dies. Rakdos, so Wither. Cunning Spark Mage. I mean, he's basically just an enabler for Rakdos. Uh, Nothing too fancy. Darksteel Colossus. Duplicant. I haven't had a deck that I wanted to use Duplicant in, but I figured in this deck he could offer me a little bit of utility, perhaps, like that my colors don't allow me to have. So I figured I'd go with it. Erebos, God of the Dead. I also have Mogus, God of Slaughter, because potential damage, consistent damage, or I make them sacrifice a creature, both of which I want because like Alex, my mana curve is pretty high in this deck.
For the record,
Falcon.
my choice is to put Mogus in for Bringer of the Red Dawn, which Mogus
Oh,
was in my deck, and I wound up cutting him. So, okay.
okay. Kiku, Nice Flower, I put in there because I just thought that would be super fun with Wither. Your creature hurts yourself. Oh, and it dies. Like, even if its initial power toughness isn't higher because of the Wither, it might die. Hate Flare. Hate Flare is fun. It has Wither, and it's also damage that I can deal to people. I got Grave Titan. Cool Wrath Knight, because Wither and counters, and he's just really good. um, I have Lobber Crew, which again is another enabler, but it hits each opponent, which is why it's in there. So basically, tap all my stuff costs 4 cheaper, which I mean is pretty good. Marilyn of the Morn Song, again, I mean now this card will make a little bit more sense when I get to the reason why I think everyone might think this deck is mean. Midnight Banshee, Micaeus the Unhallowed. Micaeus is in here because aside from Kiku, I don't think I have another human in this deck. I mean, I have like Volshock Sorcerer, but like they don't matter. All my important cards are not humans. Murderous Redcat because hey, cast him, deal damage. Everything else is cheaper now. Needle Spectre because it's got Wither and Hand Disruption. Ogre Battle Driver because things coming into play. Hey, they get haste. Runescarred Demon because tutors, and also cheap flyer dudes. Shriekmaw because destroying things. Sire of Insanity because everything dies. Nothing is safe. Smoldering Butcher, just another Wither dude. Solemn Simulacrum. Stigma Lasher because nobody's gaining life, ever. Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre. Urabras, the Hidden. Volshock Sorcerer, and Wormcoil Engine. So I mean, as far as creatures, there's some overlap between Alex and I. He had similar ideas.
I didn't
My
know
land.
about Stigma Lasher. That card's awesome.
Yeah, that card is super awesome. It's the best. I love it. It's also expensive.
Yeah.
Guys, people like to gain life. As far as land, pretty basic. I mean, I have a Badlands, I guess, so that's like kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
But Akum Refuge, Blackleaf Cliffs, Blood Crypt, Bloodstained Mire, Cabal Coffers, Command Tower,
Oh my
Dragon Skull
god.
Summit.
Oh my god. It just occurred to me I did not put Command Tower in my deck.
I know, like I was waiting for it, and I'm like, why don't you have a Command Tower?
Oh my
But
god.
okay. Yeah, Dragon Skull
Wow.
Summit, Graven Cairns, Lava Claw Reaches, and then Reliquary Tower, uh, Temple of Malice, Temple of the False God, Urborg, and Wooded Foothills. So I mean, I ran some off-color fetches, but I also ran fewer lands than Alex. I felt like I needed them just to help
Mm-hmm.
with my mana fixing a bit. I did initially have some mana rocks in here, but I ended up having to cut them. So, Cloudstone Curio. Cloudstone Curio I have. Because, fun fact, with my, if you look at my enchantments, I have Warstorm Surge. So fun fact about Rakdos and Warstorm Surge and Cloudstone Curio and Blightsteel Colossus and Darksteel Colossus, you win. For those of you that don't know, so basically what happens is I have Rakdos, I cast Darksteel Colossus, Warstorm Surge triggers, someone takes 12 damage. And then everything costs 12 cheaper. I cast Blightsteel Colossus, they take 12 damage. However, it's totally infect damage. Because off a Surge, the creature deals the damage. And then I bounce Darksteel back to my hand. And then I cast it for free again because now everything costs 22 cheaper? Yeah. And then I just do that until everyone dies. It also works with the Eldrazi, fun fact. Dolmen Gate I got because I don't want my creatures taking wither damage. Mind Crank because, hey, if I'm dealing damage to you, I might as well mill you while I'm at it. And now I have Omen Machine because who needs to draw cards?
I do.
Vedalken Orrery because unlike Alex, I want my damage on other people's turns to let me cast stuff. Instance, I only have 3. Just Chaos Warp, just to let me deal with basically like enchantments and artifact stuff that red and black have trouble dealing with. Hero's Downfall and Vampiric Tutor. For my enchantments, I have Animate Dead and Dance of the Dead because I didn't know about Dance of the Dead, but that card is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is.
Everlasting
It's
Torment.
a wall of text, though. Holy crap.
It is. Basically, it ends up being the opposite of Animate Dead. It gives a buff instead of a negative. That's the short version.
So I can't help but notice that there's a Chains of Mephistopheles in here.
And there is. Because of Sire of Insanity. and with Marilyn, nobody gets to draw cards anymore. But this seems counterproductive. But there's a point to this. I also have Necropotence. Because, hey. And the best thing about playing Marilyn is I have a Stranglehold. So screw you guys.
Oh my god.
So literally, I play Marilyn. The first card I search for is Stranglehold, and then screw you people.
Wow, you suck. You suck a ton.
I know, I saw that, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Stranglehold is a card. So yeah, I can for all the things, and I can draw all the things in Necropotence, and you get to do nothing because reasons. Except discard your hand all the time because of chains. So have fun with that. So Furic Vortex because it's damage on your turn, which will feed my Vedalken Orrery, and Witch Hunt because also, like I said, everything dies.
Lots of can't gain life.
Lots of can't gain life. Nobody's gaining life. It's not happening. Bonfire of the Damned. I mean, it's basically a mana sink, but also, sometimes you need to wipe someone's board. Damnation and Decree of Pain for the same reason. Sometimes things just need to go away. Demonic Tutor, so that I can tutor up Marilyn and Stranglehold, Dreadbore, because it gets rid of Planeswalkers. Living Death, because lots of things are going to be dying in this deck, and I'm going to end up potentially discarding a whole bunch of stuff, so I figure, hey, why not? Rakdos Return, because much like no one's gaining life, no one's having a hand either. I mean, except me.
And it's, perfectly on theme.
It is. Rise of the Dark Realms, because once I make you discard all your stuff, hey, why not steal it for myself? And then good old Yawgmoth's Will, because that card is legal in Commander.
Which is silly.
I think it's fun. I think it would be fun. I want to build this deck. I mean, I can't imagine what the cost of this is.
Let's see here. According to Tapped Out, that TCG price, it's about $1,100.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I actually had some more expensive cards in my list at first, and I thought, no, I want to make this deck actually buildable for people that don't have any of the cards. So I cut the Badlands, and I cut the Zodiac Dragon. Zodiac Dragon just seemed really good, because it was like a big flying dude that could beat him in the face, and if they killed it, well, I'm gonna get it back, and I'm gonna be able to cast it for super cheap again anyways.
Yeah, I mean, like, there were some things that I have that I cut out of here. Like, I had No Spine Dragon initially, and I ended up cutting that. I had both Liliana Vest and Liliana of the Veil in here. Veil gives me more hand disruption, and I mean, Vest is just good in general.
Yeah.
And again, more tutors. I mean, I'm basically ends up being like this really, really mean lockout deck.
Yeah.
Where I assemble Maryland and Stranglehold, and then I just basically win by default, unless you have an answer in your hand that turn.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, and this is a super rough list. Like, this is just me, like oh, I should probably finish this today list. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely fine tune it. I mean, ideally, I'd have more tutors in here, just so that I can get all the pieces.
Whereas I had almost none.
Right.
But, like, mine isn't really combo. It's more so just play Rakdos, play big dudes.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, this deck doesn't need the combo either. I mean, like, I can just play like
you also can play Rakdos, play big dudes thing. But you have actual combos in here where I kind of don't in my deck.
Right. But I mean, but I think that sort of shows how you play it. Like, I definitely really love card synergy, like, more than anything. So the moment I was like I had Maryland and she was super on the fence, and then I saw Stranglehold and I was like,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, where I'm kind of just like, I want to play a lot of good cards until I win.
Well, I want to play a lot of good cards too. I just don't want you to stop me from playing my good cards.
Yeah.
You can still play cards. You know, the whatever number of cards you had in your hand when I cast Stranglehold. You can play those. I mean, until I play Sire of Insanity, but whatever. Semantics.
God, that card is... Like, how did they not think that would be a problem when they printed that card?
What card?
Stranglehold.
Like, it's just... There's a reason that card is $10.
Mm-hmm.
Out of a commander set.
Yeah.
It's just, whew. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, what? I was like, let me see that. What is this garbage?
Yeah. I mean, it was only in Commander 2011, which they didn't print many of.
Right, so yeah, that probably lends to the price also. But I mean, I feel like it would still be up there at least, even if they did, though. Like, it's really good. And in Commander, it stops a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my deck that I kind of spared no expense on. I love what you were just like, hey, so about that chains.
Yeah, I was just like, wait a minute.
You're just looking like, oh yeah, seems pretty standard. Oh, Badlands, all right. And wait, what?
Yep.
Like that.
I thought about, just for the hell of it, putting Imperial Seal in my deck.
Oh, I forgot about that card. Oh my gosh. See, like, that would go in here because tutor.
I mean, it's an 800. That card is anything but
Is
cheap.
well, I mean, like I
I
said
know,
cheap
mana
tutor,
mana
but like,
cost cheap. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's basically an $800 vampiric tutor.
yeah. In white border.
But, but, but if you want to have 8 vampiric tutors in your deck,
Yep.
you know, that's how that works.
It's stupid.
Oh man, can we get a Portals 3 Kingdoms Masters, please? Just can we?
I mean, that's partially what some of these from the vaults have been.
I know. Just look, they'll just call it From the Vault 3 Kingdoms, and they'll just reprint the whole set, though.
Like, is a sealed product that you like just buy the box and you're done, or is
Yes, it's you get one of each card in the whole set.
I know people that would be pretty pissed off if they did that.
Well,
Seeing as they have almost one of each card from the set.
whatever. They'll get over it.
I'm not sure they will.
What?
Like, it's one thing when people are like, oh man, like if they announce tomorrow, alright guys, we're reprinting Force of Will. Like, there'd be legacy players that would be like, oh man, I spent all that money on Force of Wills? Okay, well you spend $100 per card, okay, that sucks. But like, you know, if they announced that they were reprinting Imperial Seal, people would lose their shit. Like,
Right. Right. Hey, how much did you pay for that Imperial recruiter?
I'll never
Right.
forget when we were at the store and someone was grabbing a box down and they dropped the box. And it was just a box that like we bought someone's collection and they had like mostly just a bunch of jank and stuff. And we looked down and we found some awesome cards and then someone dropped another little box, just a tiny little like you know those holiday gift boxes things from another collection, and it was just like, hey, what's this on the floor? Oh, it's an Imperial Recruiter. We felt kind of bad because
Hey.
we didn't give that person anywhere near enough money for their cards.
Oh well. But hey, you know, thank God for small miracles.
Yeah. At
Oh,
the time, that
yeah.
card was like $350 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane.
Super duper main point is Wizards should print a $1,500 from the vault.
We've been talking about this idea of like Wizards should make like a limited like only 1,000 print run box set thing of all of the Power 9 and just sell it for like and make them all foil, but like actually foil, not like that shitty from the vault foiling
From the vault
process.
foil?
Yeah, and
Right.
then like sell it for like $2,000 for the pack, but make all of the proceeds and only sell it to like you know specific stores like for example you wouldn't be able to go to Walmart and buy this thing, right? Like it'd have to
Right.
be like you know Advanced Plus or whatever the highest level is of retailer
Mm-hmm.
for Wizards for Magic,
Right.
and then just like all the proceeds go to like some charity.
I can see
At
it.
least
I mean, it would work. Somebody friggin' spent $21,000 on a Tarmogoyf, so.
I wound up being closer to 15,000 since a lot of the bids wound up being fake bids.
Mm-hmm.
But still, yes, someone spent $15,000 on a foil Tarmogoyf.
So I guarantee you that person would buy 8 of those boxes. I just okay.
Why 8? It's like, oh, one for my playset. You mean 8 playsets in Vintage?
Right? I'm building 24 vintage decks. So I need these. I don't know
No,
if you knew that.
one for my vintage, one of each for my vintage deck. One of each for cube, and I guess this one can be a bookmark, and then
Right? That's a pretty cool bookmark. What is it? Foil Black Lotus.
what? I mean, you know, foil black lotus don't exist. This one does.
Yeah.
Your cat is
Yup.
yelling at you.
Huh?
It sound you know, that there's a cat yelling at you.
There is a cat. What? What do you want? Yes. Hi. What? Okay. Or leave. I don't know why. Is this like a prank? Okay.
I think it wants you to
He like
follow.
meowed at me violently, and then he just ran away when I said hello.
All
What
right.
do you
Well,
want from me?
um.
Okay.
So yeah,
But I
those
think,
were our decks.
yeah. So this was a very,
Thrown together episode.
yeah. This is played this one by ear,
Yes.
fast and loose.
Yeah. And then uh so next week, um let's see here.
Are we gonna have a Jameson next week?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I think next week, Nick, you should discuss your.
Next out on the call.
Oh my gosh. I
How many
think
times are you gonna freaking do this?
Alex. I think that you should discuss your Jaleva deck.
It's pretty jank. I don't know.
I mean, it's been working for you.
I suppose. We could talk about Tiny Leaders next week.
We could. And I
Oh,
mean,
but that
don't
wouldn't
forget.
work if Nick's here, because then, you know, he doesn't know much about Tiny Leaders.
Ooh, I might not be here next week.
Oh, so are we not going to have an episode next week?
We might not, because I'm going to be coming back from the music festival on Monday, and I don't know what time we're actually going to get back. Or if I'll even be a functioning human being when I do. Like, I might just be, like, impossibly tired.
Okay, that actually works to cancel next week's podcast, because I was thinking next week was actually the week after that. And I was like, oh yeah, all the Magic Origins spoilers will be out. We could talk
Yes.
about that. I was like, oh wait, no, that's a week off.
So next week, we can have no episode, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Origins.
Yes. So next week, no episode. However, on Monday, July 6th, all of the Origins spoilers should be out, because pre-release weekend is the 11th. And they usually release it that Monday before, right?
Yes, they do. So
yeah.
we'll have a full set. We'll be able to talk about Magic Origins, and then the following week we can talk about,
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll probably be at the pre-release, so I'll talk about my limited experience.
You should even keep your deck together, or put it on tapped out or something.
Yeah, I could do that actually. That'd be good. I'll keep it.
Yeah. Hey, we're carpooling to that, right?
Yes.
Like I'm driving you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet.
Yes.
So yeah, 2 weeks Origins discussion. Excited.
Okay.
What we've seen so far, I think the set should be solid. I mean, we've seen very little so far, but like a lot of the ideas behind the set, I think are good. And I love that all of the Planeswalkers are Tiny Leaders legal.
Yes. I could go on for days about that Chandra right now.
And Gideon, oh my god.
Oh yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, even Nissa. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's a
Like,
Borderland Ranger that frickin' becomes amazing.
right?
But yeah, so I guess that's it for tonight. Sorry, today was kind of unstructured and disorganized, but
Yes, we will be better
we
about this in the
struggled through
future.
it.
And you guys stuck with us, so thank you, because you're cool.
Yes, thank you,
Hopefully,
and
yeah.
you can go.
All right.
Or were you saying something?
No.
Okay, all right. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good night. Good couple of weeks before we see you again.
Yes. Bye. Have a good night.